What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh, and today what I want to do is take you through all of the items on my Surron Ultra Bee. I said I would make this video in the previous video, so today while I'm out here in the beautiful nothingness on this ride, I figured I'd bust out the GoPro, do this kind of cam style on the helmet, and walk you through each thing on my Ultra Bee. And then at the end, I'm going to go through a couple of things that I really just don't like. So before we get started today, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video and every video you will see here on the channel. That is E-Moto. E-Moto is where you can pretty much get every single thing we talk about on my Surron Ultra Bee. I will leave a link for every product we talk about, as well as a discount code in the description so you can save 5% on anything that you buy. What I want to do is talk about the first stuff that's stock, because I think a lot of people change a lot of things that I don't necessarily feel that is important for the way that I ride this bike. Obviously, I just bought a Stark Varg, so that is basically my track bike. This is just a bike I ride out here on the trails in southern Arizona. So up front, you got the controller, the battery, and the motor. All of that is 100% stock. And the reason for that is I wish I had a bigger battery, so I guess I shouldn't say that it's unneeded, but you can get about 20 to 25 miles of range out of 25 to 30 miles of range, depending on how you ride, out of this bike as it is. The problem that I have today is I'm on a roughly 25-30 mile ride, so I have to do most of it in Eco. And Eco is not a ton of fun to drive or a ton of fun to ride, but at the end of the day, like, it gets the job done. So the motor, controller, and battery, everything, that stuff is completely stock on this bike. Now let's kind of go through what I did, why I did it, and we'll try to get you out of here as quickly as possible. Let's talk about the things that have changed, why I changed them. Cirrus suspension, the F43, the R46 shock. This is an absolute must for the way that I like to ride. Is it an absolute must for anybody who owns one of these bikes and rides trails? Absolutely not. It's nice to be able to get stuff like this. Obviously, it's a luxury item, I guess. My buddy Nate rides his Ultra Bee all the time. It's completely stock, motor, controller, battery, suspension. He just has wheels, tires, sprocket, you know, some minor other things that he thinks are important, but he gets plenty out of his bike. He rides just as far, just as long, just as fast, all of that I do. So it's not a must, but the R43, I'm sorry, the F43 and the R46 from Cirrus is absolutely game-changing, just in plushness, comfortability, riding long trails, you know, all of that stuff that everybody likes to do. By no means a necessity, but a very nice thing to have if you have the extra money. Now, the newest item that I just put on my bike is the drop pegs from Charge Cycle Works. All the links will be in the description for these products also. So if you're looking to buy stuff that's kind of similar to what I got here, you'll be able to see those in the description. But the drop pegs for me, absolutely imperative. I'm not a tall guy, but I always feel like I'm kind of, my body's out of center. That's probably riding position. I'm not riding appropriately. I probably should change my body position a little bit. But this gives me the ability to hug the bike with my knees much easier. I do this on every single bike. It's something I always do no matter what, is get a drop peg if I can. And that gives me an inch. I'm an inch further down, closer to the ground with my feet. Gives me a better opportunity to grip with my knees, puts my center of gravity in a place that I like it better. So those are an absolute must for me. The wheels, they're KKE. I spent $600 on the wheels, $100 on the tires and tubes, you know, whatever that, I don't know exactly the cost, but the point I'm making is that these budget wheels is what I would consider them, in comparison to like Warp 9, and other wheel manufacturers. I have beat the crap out of these wheels, and not intentionally, just miles and miles and miles of trail riding is really hard on a set of tires and wheels, and these wheels have held up fantastic. Yesterday is the first time I ever tightened my spokes, and they barely even needed tightened, which is absolutely incredible. I also was jumping this on the motocross track at one point. So, you know, this configuration, this wheel setup, the 1821, I have the Geomax Dunlop, the MX53s, both front and rear. They are fantastic tires. They do all of this stuff plus track stuff very well, so I'm extremely happy with the wheel tire choice. Sprocket, I did go up a tooth on my sprocket. Realistically, I'll probably go back down. I don't think it's necessary. I didn't want to lose torque when I put the new tires and wheels on, but honestly, I could probably benefit from a little bit less torque because once you get up into the daily mode, that's something we'll talk about at the end, it's super torquey, and I don't always find that it's the most responsive. So obviously you can see the gut seat cover. I recommend a gut seat cover for anybody who's riding a bike, regardless of how you're riding or what you're riding. This thing does make gripping your bike a ton easier. Your butt grips it a lot better. There's so many benefits of having a gut seat cover. ODI grips, I mean, that's nothing special. They're just glue-on grips that I put on the new bars that I got, but I don't really care what kind of grips they are. I just found them and I was literally there and bought them. I'm not a grip snob. I don't have a preference. These are just what was in my garage when I was changing my grips. So that's what I put on. Let me take my phone off here. Onyx Off-Road, not part of the bike, not sponsored, don't get paid, but fantastic way to know where you're going. My phone's broke. It's a story for another day. Warp 9 bar risers. These flex bar mounts are really nice because they increase the dampening on your bars. If you can see, they got a little wiggle there. It's just better when you're in this terrain. I like them a lot. It's kind of easier on the forearms. By no means is it a necessity, but it's something that I really like. And I just put on these Phoenix 118 handlebars. These bars are freaking great. I really like Phoenix as a brand, and my buddy is actually the owner of that company, so it's cool to support his company, and it's cool that, you know, he comes from like a gas bike background, but these bars have been fantastic on this bike, and I love them. I didn't even cut them down, which I probably will cut them down, probably a ½ inch, maybe ½ inch on either side, but right now they are just your standard configuration, and I threw all my grips and all my stuff on there. Okay, so this is a Renthal 420, 428, I forget exactly what chain this is, but it's a Renthal chain. It's the original chain I've had on the bike since I got the bike. I changed a lot of the stuff right when I bought the bike. Warp 9 sprocket, so that's, you know, pretty standard. But other than that, I mean, I still have the factory skid plate, and that's all that I have on my bike that's been modified. I've put this bike through some pretty intense stuff. I mean, we ride out here with really no, you know, we don't really care where we're going. We just go and kind of figure it out as along the way. But this bike does everything I needed to do and then some. But let's talk about the things that I don't like and things that I would like to change, things that I'm considering changing for the Ultra Bee trail bike that I have. All right, so the thing that I want to change most is just a different battery. I would really like to get up into the 65, 70 amp hour range, more of like a touring style battery. I don't need a faster bike for this bike. This bike is plenty fast for what I like to do with it. I built it specifically for this. That's why I bought the Starkvarg to be my track bike. It's built specifically for the track. And this is the bike that I come out here and ride these beautiful trails in the mountains with. So something that I really dislike about the bike, it's not the power. The power is plenty for most people, including myself. But the thing that I really don't like is the throttle, the way that the throttle rolls on. I wish Surron would take the time, especially on these more expensive mid-size bikes, to put a Bluetooth app where you can control your throttle sensitivity. This bike is like, I have trouble with it sometimes in eco because it's just not enough. And just like the big hill, I guess we'll call it, it's a huge rock face that we just came up. Daily was a bit too much of torque because of the incline. So, and obviously, you know, you start kind of leaning back a little bit and too much torque, flip back off the bike. No, you know, I'm trying to lean up as far as I can, but sometimes you hit a rock, you get out of balance and you rip on that throttle and it kind of throws the bike up. So what I would love to see on these bikes, which should just be something that everyone is doing, is a Bluetooth module so you can control your controller. That's the one thing. I have a EBMX controller in my garage right now that I could put on. I bought it when my throttle went out because I thought that was the problem, was the controller, but it actually just turned out to be a throttle. Bought a throttle off Amazon, a stock Surron, or OEM Surron throttle, plugged it in, no issues. So now I just have this EBMX controller. But with the EBMX controller, it gives you the ability to control your throttle sensitivity and your throttle curves and your peak power. If I could have something between, you know, eco and sport that's not daily, but like just take daily out and beef up eco a little bit and beef up sport a little bit and just give me two options, or give me the ability to control my bike without having to buy an aftermarket controller, it's not hard for them to do. It would cost them a lot less money, and it would keep their bike stock a lot more. That's the only reason I want a different controller, is just to mess with the throttle. So that's one thing like I really don't like about this bike. But I think out of all the stuff, out of all the places I've been, all the trails I've been on, that's really my only big complaint. There are little tweaks and little things that they could do here and there that, I mean, probably cost more than it's worth. It's it's just diminishing in the return that they would get from those little changes and what they would have to do to keep their bike better. But just a few little things, some type of Bluetooth controller, a better ability to control your throttle, or just better throttle response. After riding the Starkvarg and having that bike on the track, like, you get a real understanding of what a good throttle response is. So now I'm kind of spoiled, because before, it's not that I didn't notice it, but it wasn't as big of a deal as it is now. So now I'm kind of like, every time I'm going up a big face and I'm in daily or drive, whatever they call it, the throttle kind of gets a little away from me sometimes. And to only be able to control your throttle sensitivity in the controller with sport, I think is just like a really big oversight, and it's kind of silly. But that's my 2 cents. That's my Ultra Bee. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. I know this video style is a little bit different, but I'm out here just completely loving it, so I figured, why not stop here, take a rest, go through this video with you guys, and hopefully it's helpful, and hopefully somebody benefits from it. All the product links are in the description. There will be a discount code as well. Anything else that you guys need, please let me know, and I'll see you guys on the next one.